Hello and welcome to the very first episode of The Grand Adventure. That's right, the very first episode of The Grand Adventure. And we're going to kick things off with a special. We're going to be calling it the Northwest Special. Why? Because we're about to embark on a 1,000-mile road trip from here in Riverbank, my hometown, to Vancouver, British Columbia. That's right, 1,000 miles north from here in Riverbank, California to Vancouver, British Columbia. And we're not just going to visit Vancouver, we're going to be visiting Victoria, Whistler, and Seattle, Washington. All that to come. But first, if you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. Hit that subscribe button. If you like this episode, by the end of the episode, please hit the like button. Also, you can use the comments below to tell us what is your favorite road trip, what is your favorite memory of a road trip, and of course, you can tell us about your experiences and your past experiences on road trips. Hello, my name is Salvador, and this is The Grand Adventure. Let's get started. For the first leg of the trip, we were going to travel 923 miles north to Bellingham, Washington. But literally we know that we were going to do a little bit more than that. And you'll see why later in the video as to why that happened. After driving nearly 3.5 hours, we arrived at Mount Shasta, California, where we dined in at the very first Black Bear Diner, famous among the locals. But the Black Bear Diner restaurant isn't Mount Shasta's biggest tourist attraction, though. Over 300 miles completed, now we are here at that peak. That peak behind me is Mount Shasta. It is one of the most beautiful mountains in all of California, over 14,000 feet. It is picture postcard gorgeous. Just look how magnificent it looks. It's definitely a masterpiece. After Mount Shasta, we headed north into the next state on the list, Oregon. Known as the Beaver State, we were actually quite a bit surprised to learn quite a few things about this state. Starting with one of the biggies, filling up gas. Regular gas, but let me put in at least $70.
Yeah, so just run inside and just let them know, or I can do that for you, and whatever it doesn't take, we'll get you your change back, of course.
Absolutely.
With the receipt.
All right, Brandon, bring me the receipt, please.
Yes, of course. We'll get that after it's done pumping.
All right, absolutely, thank you. Okay, so I was just talking to that gentleman right now, and he was asking me if I needed gas, or he could take the change for me. At this point, you might be asking, why did he do that? Because currently, I'm in a town called Phoenix, Oregon. Not Phoenix, Arizona, it's a Phoenix, Oregon. This gentleman right in front of me, he's gonna be pumping my gas for me. So regular, please. Yeah. So that's technically because it's state law. It's mandatory. Oregon and New Jersey are the only states in the United States they're supposed to pump your gas. Now, we as normal drivers, we're not allowed to do that. So I guess, and I wanted to ask earlier and to see if we were allowed to pump our own gas, and the answer is no. That answered my question. So that gentleman over there answered my question perfectly well. So. All right, let's see what happens.
Change is inside. I'll be back with your change.
I appreciate that. Thank you. So yeah, so you just saw that gentleman just pump up my gas. He's gonna go get my receipt, and we're all set to roll. After the fill up, we drove back to Interstate 5. And as we were driving there, we also learned something else about Oregon, the way that people drive. And I don't know if you noticed, they drive really slowly, but they didn't take us long to find out why they drive so slow. Yep. You saw there was a lot of popo. In fact, everywhere that you go in the state of Oregon, there's always someone watching. At every corner of every part of the Interstate 5, there was always somebody watching. So if you're planning to go into the state driving over 80, forget it. It's not even worth the risk. Okay, so currently we are in the middle of Oregon. Well, actually, we're like 125 miles south of Eugene, Oregon. And we're stuck in traffic. Unfortunately, they're doing roadworks. You would think California would be the only state that does this, but no, I I guess not. So it kind of feels like going to Los Angeles or going to the middle of the Central Valley at night when they're doing road constructions and all that. So, oh boy, it's like, it's kind of like going car-friendly California. I think they sent me a welcome party. And sure enough, I'm only going 10, 12, 13 miles an hour. Oh boy. Well, let's see how long this lasts, because our estimated time of arrival is starting to slip again. Alright, there goes nothing. Okay, so we just stopped at a Arco gas station because we had to find a bathroom, because one of the rest stops we tried, it was all porta potties. It was bad, so we decided to look for a gas station instead, like about 5 or 6 miles outside of that restroom area. And we just got out, and I just talked to this gentleman who actually runs the store, and he told us that there's no sales tax in Oregon, which is phenomenal, but there's a downside to that. That means property tax is off the roof compared to California. So needless to say, you get it cheaper, like you buy things at the store cheaper, but then you have to make up for it at the property tax. You gotta love Oregon. Okay, guys, update. We are currently nearing Portland, Oregon, and at this point we just deviated to Interstate 205, Oregon, because we were trying to save about 25 minutes. Instead of taking downtown Portland, which started 25 minutes more, we decided to take Interstate 205 to save ourselves some time. Hopefully that helps. Right now we're crossing the bridge that connects from Portland, Oregon to Vancouver, Washington, and we're only like about a minute or so away from crossing it. Actually, I see it right now. I see the exit that says Vancouver, Washington Highway 14, and I can tell you right now, it feels good to be in another state. I'm about to have some lunch right now. I'm gonna have some chicken strips, which I haven't had in a very long time. So here goes. Brings back the memories when I was a kid. Hey, just joined me. We just left the Interstate 5. We're actually on Washington Highway 504, heading east towards Mount St. Helens. Well, actually, we're stopping at a location that is actually close enough to see the volcano. If anybody wants to know what this volcano is, it's actually a volcanic volcano that erupted back in 1980. That instead of shooting up the crater, it went sideways. It actually disrupted sideways, that it went down the wrong way. But a lot of people died that day because of the eruption that it happened just so quickly. So that's why this volcano has so much interest in it. So I wanted to check it out for myself to see how it looked like. But unfortunately, I don't know if anybody can hear it. It's raining. Let's just hope that I'm able to see it. If not, oh man, it's not gonna go well. But anyways, let's just see what happens. Okay, so current update, we have done 860 miles today. Unfortunately, we weren't able to go to Mount St. Helens because it was just way too foggy, it was too rainy, and we also don't have a lot of time anymore because, well, we still have 144 miles on the clock that we still have to do, and we're gonna get there by around 9:14 this evening. So yeah, and I've been on the road since 3:30 in the morning, so you probably by now guessed I'm exhausted. I don't know if you can tell. And there's a study that showed that if you've been away for over 18 hours, your concentration levels are the same as somebody who's been driving their drink driving limit. But if you've been away for up to 24 hours, the concentration levels are exactly the same as somebody who's drinking a half a bottle of tequila. Just bear that in mind if you're doing something like what I'm doing. Don't try this at home if you're not prepared to drive for so long in a day. Currently it's 7:49 p.m. I'm currently in Everett, Washington. And so far we have covered throughout the day 920 miles. Actually, no, 930 miles. And we only have 63 miles to go. We only have an hour and 9 minutes left to our final destination for this evening. I don't know if you can tell, I'm exhausted. I am exhausted, but my spirits are still high as we enter the last bit of the day to Bellingham, Washington, which is only 63 miles away. Oh boy, that driving for over 18, almost 19 hours today is no joke anymore. It's not a joke. Let's just see what happens. Let's see what happens. Bellingham, here we come. Okay, so we got to the hotel. Thankfully, we got to the hotel after nearly 1,000 miles later and 18 hours of driving. And then we get to the hotel. I mean, there was a little bit of a mix-up here and there. They had a little bit of an issue, but it was taken care of. So the thing is, we got a room. We got the room. We're in. I'm like really exhausted. I don't know if you guys can tell. I'm exhausted, but thankfully we made it. I was looking at the map. I'm so staggered how much we actually covered today. 1,000 miles. That's impressive. So tomorrow for day 2, we're gonna cross into a new country. We're gonna visit Canada for the very first time. So let's see what happens. It's day 2 of the Pacific Northwest Special. Right now, we are currently exiting the hotel, which was very cozy. It was a very nice, sleepy, peaceful evening, let's just say. Right now, we are currently 20 miles south of the Canadian border, and right now we're driving towards it right now. And right now is actually, the weather is much better than it was last night. Last night it was raining, like the entire night it was raining. But this morning it's just sprinkling, but it's pretty bearable. So right now, let's just see, another 20 minutes or about half an hour, 20 minutes later, we should be in Blaine, Washington, which is going to be our border crossing. So fingers crossed, let's just see what happens when we cross the border. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Northwest Special here on The Grand Adventure.